We first unboxed this device back in October, and out of the box, we were immediately impressed by its beautiful back design, nice display, and capable back and front cameras. So hi, this is me Peter of GIZGUIDEPH, and let's check if the Vivo V20 Pro 5G is the right one for you. To recap, the Vivo V20 Pro 5G is a headset boasting a shiny gradient AG matte glass material at the back and a rectangular shaped camera hump with a triple camera setup highlighting a big eye-like main camera. It is a slim phone with a plastic frame, dual nano SIM tray slot with a rubber gasket for some sort of water resistance, a USB Type-C port, and a loudspeaker grille. In front, it uses a large 6.44-inch panel with a larger than usual notch housing the 44MP plus 8MP dual selfie camera with the new iFocus technology. To read our full unboxing and first impressions of this device, you may check the description down below. In front, it has a big and beautiful display. In particular, it is using a 6.44-inch AMOLED panel with a full HD plus resolution. As you can see, it is a pretty tall type of display with super slim bezels on the chin and on the sides. On top, the bezels are still slim, but as you can see here, it has a pretty large notch compared to a lot of mid-rangers found in this particular price point today. Why? It is equipped with a pair of cameras for better selfies, and the type of selfie camera that they use is pretty big because it's a 44MP main camera for selfies, and there's an 8MP selfie shooter for ultra-wide angle shots as well. In terms of picture quality, it isn't the sharpest around, it doesn't have a high refresh rate panel, but it is still good enough at full HD. Colors are punchy, it has good contrast, and it has a great viewing angle. For me, this is one of the best viewing experience found in this price point. Swiping and touching is also responsive. It has an accurate in-display fingerprint reader. As you can see there, it was also very fast. It is just weird seeing a notch on a 2020 Android smartphone. But other than that, this is a good display. For audio, it has a single down-firing speaker that is fairly loud. Its audio quality isn't the finest around, but it's on the average side. Bass response is present, but it lacks sub-bass. At max loudness, the audio will be a little bit distorted. Soundstage won't be as wide as other phones with stereo setup, but for me, it's not bad, but it's not great either. For wired audio, you will need a USB Type-C to 3.5mm dongle. Gladly, it has one found in the box. This is not it, but it has one inside that box. For wired audio using your favorite headphones, the experience will definitely be much better. It has a fuller and clearer sound. Signature is a bit warm by default. Driving power is strong. As a matter of fact, there's no need to crank the volume all the way up to 70% just to make a multi-driver earphone shine. For wireless audio, as long as you are using a high-quality TWS earphones, connectivity will mostly be stable since it is using Bluetooth 5.1 technology. Call quality is also generally okay. Microphone quality is superb for this price. The main mic records voices clearly while the secondary mic blocks the noise decently. There's a third microphone hidden at the back cameras of this device. It is for 3D audio and audio zooming. It may sound a little gimmicky, but it works somehow as well. Have a listen to the audio that we will play in this video. For cameras, the Vivo V20 Pro 5G has a triple camera setup at the back. It uses a 64MP f1.89 main camera with motion AF and IAF. It also has an 8MP f2.2 ultra-wide angle camera, but this is not your ordinary ultra-wide angle camera. It also has a 2.5cm macro mode. The third camera is your usual depth sensor with 2 megapixels at f2.4. It also has a dual tone LED flash. For the camera UI, it may require a bit of learning at first, but for me in general, this is very easy to use. I like that it has this HDR button. You can easily access the lens of your desire in this button. You can select the super wide angle, the bokeh mode, and the super macro. You can also change its aspect ratio here. And I also like that it has the portrait mode where you can adjust the type of bokeh blur that you want. You can select it up to f16 and f0.95. That is where you can blur your background as much as you want. And it has this other styles and filters that you can choose from. Also, it has a night mode that works for both the main camera and even the ultra-wide camera. It takes handheld night shots even if you do not have a tripod. Moreover, it has this Pro mode feature with an ISO up to 3200 and shutter speed up to 32 seconds. You can also adjust its exposure up to level 3 or -3. It also has this high resolution mode, AR stickers, slow-mo, panorama, live photo, double exposure, time-lapse, documents, and the Pro mode. For picture quality, I am generally impressed. It takes amazing images in daylight using its primary camera with plenty of details, good exposure, good dynamic range, and accurate colors overall. Even if you use ultra-wide angle camera, the result will be impressive as well, especially if it is at daylight. The exposure is just a little bit brighter for me, but it isn't as over distorted compared to other ultra-wide angle cameras. Maybe they can just control the exposure a little to make it look a bit more natural. But I like the fact that Vivo retains its color profile to match its main camera. And there are times where the HDR will work really well even for the ultra-wide angle camera, as it captures images with dynamic range as good as the main camera, at least for me. And even for zooming, the output is decent if you will zoom up to 2 times only. Sadly, there's no super zoom, but at least the digital zoom is decent. For indoor shots, we noticed that the quality of photos didn't degrade a little for the main camera. It is still punchy, it is still highly detailed, it still has proper exposure. And look at this shot. This is an indoor shot on a lighting condition that isn't natural anymore. And this lighting condition is a little bit harder than usual as the light is a bit dimmer. But as you can see here, the shot is very detailed with still good colors. And here, if you use the portrait mode of this handset, even in this a little bit dim lighting scenario, the output is still impressive for me. And look at the edge detection. The edge detection is quite fine. In low light, by default, it takes decent images, but obviously there will be noise. Obviously, the quality will degrade a little, but that applies to both the main camera and the ultra-wide camera. Actually, the ultra-wide camera will suffer more as it is only using an 8MP sensor, not a 64MP camera with pixel binning technology that combines the pixels for better images in low light. But when you use the night mode, shots will be even better. Actually, for me, this is one of the most refined types of night modes, as it isn't overly bright and it still looks natural. As you can see here, the night shots are very impressive. It is very detailed and it retained the colors of the background. For the ultra-wide camera, the night mode will really help as well. As you can see here, the shot that I took is quite decent. And if the lighting is really harsh, you can always use the flash. And for us, the flash of this device is one of the best that we tested yet. Look at that exposure. It is accurate and correct. For selfies, it has a 44MP f2.0 shooter with IAF and an 8MP f2.28 shooter for ultra-wide shots, ultra-wide selfies in short. And as you can see here, these are the modes that you can activate using this handset, and you can select the ultra-wide angle mode using this setting. And it has the bokeh feature as well. It has HDR, it has the usual filters. Guys, look at this. It has night mode for selfies. That means that it can take detailed images even in low light using the front cameras of this device. As expected, the main 44MP selfie camera of this device is no joke. It is super detailed, it is rich in colors, it has nice dynamic range, and it is simply impressive. Actually, even the 48MP selfie camera of this device is quite nice. And that's good to hear, as not all secondary shooters, especially for selfies, are nearly as good as the primary main camera for selfie. And you can use the portrait mode even if you use the ultra-wide angle camera of this device for selfies. And as you can see here, its edge detection is considered as decent. This is not a bad looking bokeh shot using the ultra-wide angle camera. For indoor selfies, especially in this very dim type of lighting condition, the result is actually decent as well. It retained the color of my screen properly, and the details are still very crisp. In low light, it will struggle a little, but with the help of the night mode, it can still take pretty decent shots. It also has a screen flash, and you can use that on dimmer lighting conditions. For videos, it records up to 4K 30 FPS using the back camera of this device. It may have that big eye-like camera setup found on its higher-end V20 Pro model with its own gimbal system, but this doesn't have that tech. It just looks like that. Anyway, if you want to have that super stabilized shot, you can opt to use the 1080p mode of this device, and you can just activate its stabilization mode. And that ultra steady feature is very impressive, as you can see in this video. It is why most of the time I use the 1080p mode for me to access the ultra stable feature for these super stable shots. It also has a slow motion function, but it is only up to 240 FPS at HD resolution. For a more optimized type of slow motion mode, choose the 120 FPS. For selfie videos, it only has up to 1080p at 30 FPS, but you can use the super wide angle camera for ultra wide shots. This is a rare feature, especially for mid-range smartphones, and it allows you to take ultra wide video selfies. This is actually pretty good for vloggers, especially if they are just shooting in daylight. This is a nice feature to have. And it also has the slow motion selfie up to 240 FPS. The sample that I am showing you right now is the 120 FPS slow-mo selfie. For performance, it isn't the strongest around, but it is as fast as a few similarly priced phones like the OnePlus Nord. It isn't as strong as the Mi 10T Pro and the Poco F2 Pro, but it is faster than a few 4G Samsung smartphones with a higher price tag like the Galaxy Note 10 Lite. And it has 5G, unlike a few 2020 4G high-end phones. For us, it is on the average side, and it is not bad for a style and camera-centric device. Moreover, its use of the Snapdragon 765G is a huge upgrade coming from the Snapdragon 712 of its predecessor, the Vivo V19 Pro. And that type of chipset can run nearly all of the apps with ease, and it is pretty fast even for gaming. It can play games at medium to high settings with minimal frame drops. That is probably due to its use of a 60Hz panel, which is not as demanding compared to other 90Hz display or 120Hz screens. As you can see here, the other benchmark scores that we recorded are not bad for the price. For example, it can play a few games like the NBA 2K20. This is a demanding game at maximum settings with just a few frame drops. That's not bad, especially for a phone in the under 30,000 price point. Have a look at this video that we will play now. And if you play games like the Call of Duty Mobile, aside from its decent graphic performance with the help of its chipset, it has 5G connectivity for that lag-free internet experience. Sadly, our battery benchmark keeps on failing, but to give you an idea, the 4000 mAh battery of this handset lasted for an entire workday from 8 AM to 6 PM with 25% left in the tank. That's pretty impressive since we use Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and browse the internet a lot. We also take photos and videos occasionally. Of course, accessing 5G and running online games will drain the battery a bit more, but it isn't really much of a big deal for us. Why, we can simply charge the phone using its 33 watts fast charger in under an hour. Also, if you are in a hurry, 30 minutes of charge can fill its battery to 70%. Moreover, even after playing a few games in a regular air-conditioned room, the temperature didn't go as high as other mid-range smartphones that we tested. It means that it has good thermals. That is probably due to its liquid cooling solution. While 5G is not yet available in most parts of the country, it works. We tried it in a few areas in Pasig, BGC, and Ortigas. It isn't as fast as the 5G of other higher-end smartphones with better antennas, but it is still so much faster and better than the current 4G worldwide average of just around 39.18 Mbps for downloads. And let's say 5G is not yet available in your area. It has 4G LTE as well. And at least, you can access 5G in the future once it is out in your area. 5G could provide a lag-free gaming, streaming, and browsing experience that could increase your productivity and more. This is the future. Of course, all of the basic connectivity features like the dual-band Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, SMS, and calls works. Coming from its iOS-looking skins in the past, the UI that Vivo used in this device is so much better. It now looks nicer and more modern. And of course, the dark mode is present. It can be activated in a tap. It is also very easy to navigate like a lot of Android skins, as it has an option to choose gesture or traditional Android keys. By default, the skin of this device has a few bloats, but most of them are removable. To nitpick, what we didn't like are the ads that are appearing in the notifications portion of this device. It is from the V App Store. Our verdict: if you are looking for a sexy-looking camera-centric smartphone with 5G under 25,000 pesos, for us, the Vivo V20 Pro 5G is a solid contender. Overall, we were very impressed with its chic gradient back, slim profile, pretty good back cameras, superb selfie cameras, and the inclusion of the future-ready 5G connectivity despite being a mid-range handset. It also has an average performance, pretty good battery life, fast charging support, and improved UI. Again, it doesn't have the most bang for the buck specs, but it is a stellar choice for its target market, those who are in need of a flauntable 5G camera phone. So, what do you guys think? Is this the 5G mid-range smartphone for you? Again, this is Peter of GIZGUIDEPH. Please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye!